Good morning, church. Am I on? Yes. Okay, good. It's a great privilege and honor for me to be here this morning. For the past 3 years, God has blessed me to come here just to see you. I really want to say thank you for having me this morning. And I had some video, but it's not working. But the children were saying, Belay, please take us to America. And imagine taking 60 something plus children to America. It would be very difficult. But they were sending you their greetings. They said hello. And we just want to give you these beautiful faces to your church. We do what we do in Ethiopia. It's because of your prayer, your financial support, and your encouragement. And I really want to say thank you so much, and God bless you. Those pictures are from the kids from so hopefully whenever you set up your stuff, I think this is going to be part of it, just to set up every Sunday.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. If you don't know, I am married to a beautiful and a crazy wife named Koki. Actually, today is our anniversary too. Wow. It's 2 years, 6 months, and 25 days. And during COVID time, God blessed Koki and I with two amazing children, Oni and Pat. They are 6 and 4, with from the government orphanage. Actually, last year when we were trying to come, when it shut down, God opened a door for us to go to the government orphanage. While we were just there, I thought we're gonna be there for 2 or 3 weeks, but we stayed there for 5 months, just renovating the place, and God just opened a door for us to go and minister to the government orphanage. While we were there, we got to connect with the children. There are 300 plus children in that orphanage. And every night I come home and I pray, and I was in unrest. And I was telling God, God, you told me to go to the government orphanage and rebuild the place, renovate the place. But what about the children? And God opened our heart so that we can open our door. Then Koki and I, we were in agreement, and we got to bring these two precious children to our family. It's been so hard to be a father, but it's the best decision we made. This morning, you can turn off the slide. This morning, I wanna, oh, you have it, nice. Okay, so there's another slide if you have it. So this is my family. All our DNA is not the same, but we have divine DNA that just woven together. So it's beautiful. Thank you so much. This morning, I want to talk to you building a wall. It's not a type of wall you think here in America, but in a very ancient city of Jerusalem. And a leader who never anticipates the way he led. And this person I'm talking to you, he wasn't a priest or a prophet or a king. He was just a cup bearer for the king. The man I'm talking to you this morning is Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a builder in a foreign palace, but he had an amazing character. You know, the King Artaxerxes, he took a group of people to exile, and he was looking for someone who can trust for this position. And this happens to Israelites so often. If you can see Moses in that situation, Daniel and Joseph, and you got to see Nehemiah in this situation as well. One day, when Nehemiah was just minding his own business, his brother came from Jerusalem and he got to talk to him. He said, "How's my people? How are my people? How's my city, my beloved city?" And his brother responded to Nehemiah in a very straightforward way. I don't know the situation, if it makes you happy or not, but the gates are burned, the wall are destroyed, the people are insulted, and they are in distress. The people are in despair. And this happens particularly in December. 5 months later, you got to see Nehemiah chapter 2. If you have your Bible or your phone with you, I would love to read Nehemiah chapter 2. In the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes, when wine was brought for the king, I took the wine and gave it to the king. I have not been sad in his presence before. So the king asked, "Why does your face so sad when you are not ill? This cannot be sadness, but sadness of the heart." I was very much afraid, but I said to the king, "May the king live forever. Why should my face not look so sad, while the city of my ancestors are buried lies in ruin? Its gates have been destroyed by fire." The king said to me, "What is your want?" Then I prayed to the God of heavens, and I asked the king, "If it pleases the king, if your servant have favor in your sight, please send me to the city of Judah, where my ancestors are buried, so that I can rebuild it." Then the king, with the queen sitting beside him and asking me, "How long will your journey take? And when will you get back? It pleases the king to send me," and I set a time. Even in our time, for many people, Jerusalem that sounds so perfect. Even the meaning of the city is the city of peace. But it's not. It's a great place to visit, but it's a very hard place to live in it. A few years ago, I got a great opportunity to go to Jerusalem, and I got to see the old city and all the historical places. It felt like you're walking in a Bible time. And if you have a chance to go, I recommend for you to go there, and I think it will open a lot of things for you. So Nehemiah was living in a luxury place, in a very comfortable place. But his heart was in Jerusalem. He was not living there. It was very hard for Nehemiah to take Jerusalem out of his heart. His love for the city is amazing. But God called him, he gave him a privilege to give him a burden and a vision for his generation. This morning, I'm not here only to tell you the story of Nehemiah, his burden and a vision for the city of Jerusalem. Just want to ask you, would you open your heart if God can give you a burden and a vision for your generation? It's a struggle when you are called between your comfort and the call of God. I have struggled a lot. And also you can ask a question. You say, am I willing to pay any kind of price for the sake of the cross, for the sake of my calling? God called each one of us. Each one of us. For me personally, it's been over 10 years since I found my calling to defend the cause of the fatherless in Ethiopia, where more than 110 million people live there and 5.6 million orphans are existing in my country. One thing that I can say, out of all the problems, the value of the children is nothing. Just the small things, what I see here in America. I was talking to Pastor Joel. I said, is this high school? He said, no, it's not high school. Is it a private school? He said, no, it's not a private school. It's a public school. And I was telling him, our universities, it doesn't look like this. You can see that there's a lot of problems. But out of all these things, what amazes me is those few kids who came here and read a scripture for you. The value that you place in your children can tell me the greatness of your country. In Ethiopia, you see children like that walking on the street, hungry, naked, without a defender. In the past 5 years, I was able to bury 3 kids, infant kids. We can able to prevent few more kids, but when you go to the orphanage, in the government orphanage, there is a room called the dying room. They don't call it dying room. I call it dying room because they don't give it a word, but you go there and you say, why don't you help this child? When I ask them, why don't you take this child to a clinic or a hospital? They said, oh, they're going to die tomorrow. They're going to die next week. But they can die with dignity. And that's why we took 3 children, and I was in a hospital more than 2 months by myself with my wife and with other stuff too. Then even the doctors, the nurses, they will say, man, we have other things to do. This child will die. No, let me tell you this, it's out of my thing, but one of the child, her name is Tideg, and she had hydrocephalus. She's 7 months old. She's very small, and her head is like huge. And I said, why don't you take her to the hospital? And she had a bed sore in both sides because they don't turn her, to turn her to the side. And they told me, she's gonna die. She's not gonna survive. And we don't have enough shunt so that we can drain the fluid. And I called a friend of mine who lives here in America, and he sent me the shunt. And I ran to the orphanage and I gave them. And I said, you can take this and take her to the hospital. And they didn't do anything about it. And I said, give me this child. So I took that small baby, went to the hospital. And at the hospital, they said, this is not emergency. It's more than emergency. And while I was in the hospital, I sat her in the counter and I said, I'm not moving anywhere because she was not fed a lot. And that's the only hospital where I can find F75 and F100 milk so that she can, have good nutrition. I was there for 2 weeks, just putting a pipe through her nose and just giving her milk every 30 minutes. Then after 2 weeks of just calling all the private hospital, the last hospital that I put was one of the best hospital. It's a Swedish hospital. And that hospital basically served the expats. And I called the owner and I said, "Sir, I am just one random person calling you from Addis. I have a child with hydrocephalus, and I have been calling all the hospitals, and no one want to take my child. Would you please help me?" He said, "Just bring her." So I took her there. I didn't pay anything. For 2 weeks, I was there. They were able to drain for her 2 times, but she had pneumonia. And the doctor said her organs are failing. It's supposed to be, if I took her like prior, maybe 2 or 3 months prior, she would survive. She died in my hand. And when I left the hospital, the doctor called me, "I think you should see her face." When I saw her face, maybe I'll send you the picture later on, you can show them. In her eyes, there is a heart from her vein. I think God is communicating with me. She loves you too. She's in my hand now. You know, those small things like that just gives me hope. But when you carry the burden, whether in your neighborhood, whether in your family, whether overseas, anywhere, wherever God calls you, the first thing, you need to feel the pain. Sorry. You need to feel the pain, the burden, the agony of the people. Nehemiah felt the suffering of his people. Even Christ our King, he came for the very purpose of suffering. You know, when you say, "I am very passionate about something," the word passion literally means suffering. Jesus suffered, and he was asking God, "Father, if there's any other way, that would be great. But it's not my will, but your will." He took our pain. Jesus took our pain. I want to ask you, do you feel the pain of God for your nation? Every time I come to America, I say, this country is so blessed. But also there's a lot of pain and suffering. There's a lot of hurting people out there. Do you feel the pain? Do you feel the pain of the people? Do you feel God's pain that there's a moral wickedness in your country? And C.S. Lewis said, when the ship goes on the sea, it has to ask 3 questions. The first one is how to keep himself from sinking. That's personal ethics. The second one is how to carefully not to bump into another one. And the third one is very important. Why is the ship on the sea for the first time? Why? What's the purpose of the ship on the sea? What's your purpose here in Texas? What's Connection Point's purpose here in this location? I believe you are called to connect people with one another and also with God. I believe your purpose should be for reconciliation. There's so much division going on. But you are the salt. You are the light. You should feel the pain of the people. I want to make a point. There's no other place. There's no one who can carry the pain, the agony, the suffering of the people except the cross. God takes the suffering, the pain, and he divided among his children so that we can be his hand and feet. Are you ready to feel the pain of God? Are you ready to carry the burden of God? Nehemiah felt the pain for the beloved city of Jerusalem. The second thing he does was he prioritized his mission by prayer. He prayed in a very small book, in a 13th chapter, he prayed 11 times. I prayed the God of heaven. I prayed to the God of heavens. What's prayer? Prayer will prepare you to carry the burden. God is the one who prepared the burden for your back, right? And in prayer, you are allowing God to shape your back so that you can carry the burden. Without prayer, we're not able to do anything. You know, in Ethiopia, we had a lot of missionaries, and one of the missionaries who came from England is a beloved brother, David Livingstone. We love David Livingstone in Africa so much. You know, when he died in Africa, his family came and they were about to take his body to England. And the African brothers, they said, okay, you can take his body, but we're gonna cut and take out his heart. And they took his heart and they buried his heart in Africa. And they took the body because David Livingstone had a great heart for Africa. So his prayer, one of his prayers, he said, Lord, send me anywhere. Only go with me. Lay any burden on me. Only sustain me. We should pray a prayer like that. If God asks you today, I want you to go in a country here, or I want you to do this and this, are you willing to do it? That's why when you pray, I think God will reveal his mission for you. And the third thing Nehemiah did, he took time alone. He didn't tell anybody. He mounted his donkey, he went in the middle of the night, and he got to see it. The walls are broken, the gates are burned, the people are in distress. How am I going to do this? So he took time alone. As a leader, as a visionary, we need to take time and we say, am I going to do this? Wherever it is. You know, your calling, it doesn't have to be in the church. Whether you are a doctor, an engineer, an accountant, a bookkeeper, God calls you in that spot because you can be a light in your workspace. So you need to reflect the call of God alone. The fourth thing Nehemiah did was with people. He selected the right people. With, the word with for me is a collective energy. You know, in Africa we say Ubuntu. It means there's no me without you. And when I was marrying Koki, on my vow, my last phrase was, there is no me without you. Ubuntu. We do what we do in Ethiopia is because of you. Because we are together. Maybe you're not there every day, I am there every day. But we are building together. Nehemiah chose like-minded people. And he voiced out pessimist people too. The fifth thing and the last one is you need to prepare for whatever it costs you, whatever it takes. Follow God for whatever it takes. So in this world, there's a cause. And those who understand the cause are the ones who are willing to pay the price. You know, when I start Hope for the Fatherless, I was in the States for 5 years with another organization. I went back home and I said, God called me to do this. So when I go to the government offices, they always reject, or they will say, oh, come tomorrow. I used to sit in the office for 2 or 3 weeks. Every day I come, sit, and wait for one person just to sign because I don't want to do corruption. But after a long journey, yeah, I got to meet the president in her office several times. But a few months ago, she called me and she said, I want to come to your office. And she came with the Ministry of Education, with the Ministry of Health, with the Ministry of Women and Children. And I got to sit and discuss nationwide problem. But it wasn't easy first. Allow me to tell you a story. It's a true story. It's one of the stories that inspires me a lot. It's a story of a monk by the name of Telemachus in the 5th century. Telemachus was a very diminutive man who lives in the nursery with flowers and plants. And one day, God spoke to him and he said, Telemachus, I want you to go to Rome. Telemachus, he don't want to go to Rome. He don't like all the harsh noises, the city life. But he said, God, if you called me for Rome, I'll go to Rome. Then he started walking to Rome. When he got there, what he saw, like the artificiality of life, people are worshiping idols. And one day he found himself around the Colosseum. And involuntarily they dragged him into the Colosseum. And he went inside the Colosseum and he sat. Then people start fighting. The gladiator fighters, they were fighting on the arena. And people are entertained by that. Telemachus stood up and he said, in the name of Christ, forbear. In the name of Christ, forbear. And nobody was just giving him attention. And Telemachus, he ran down in the arena and he stood between these two people and he said, in the name of Christ, forbear. In the name of Christ, forbear. And one of the gladiator fighter, he pierced him. Then he fell down. Then everyone was quiet. Then Telemachus, before he died, he said, in the name of Christ, forbear. In the name of Christ, stop. Then he died. One man stood up, left the Colosseum. The second man, the third man, and everyone left the Colosseum. That was the mark of history that gladiator fighting stopped from this planet Earth. One man from monastic setting went to Rome and changed the course of history. And I believe you and I are called to change the course of our history. For me, God trained me, my childhood life, from the orphanage and from my distress. God prepared me so that I can defend the fatherless in Ethiopia. I want to encourage you today, follow him. You follow him, and happiness will follow you. You don't pursue happiness. In America, you said, you pursue happiness. You don't pursue happiness. You don't pursue prosperity. Happiness and prosperity are the byproduct. The Hebrew rabbi put it this way: God is a light, prosperity is like a shadow. If you face the light and walk towards the light, the shadow will follow you. If you turn back and follow the shadow, you don't catch anything. Let us turn our eyes toward Jesus. Let's look to his wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. Follow him. I pray today, I pray the force of darkness will be driven away by the power of Holy Spirit who lives in us. God bless you. The capital of Ethiopia, the hub for the economy and the politics for the nation, even for the continent. There are estimated more than 5.6 million orphans in this nation. The problem is big, but the opportunity even greater. Belay. When I was 8 years old, my mother was murdered, and my father was thrown into jail with false accusation. I have 5 brothers. For 2 respective years, I was in charge of raising my 2 younger brothers. At the age of 10, my brothers and I, we've been rescued by a Christian orphanage where we can get food, shelter, medical care, education. Above all things, I become to know Christ as my personal savior and a father. When I was 18 years old, I was aging out from the orphanage. All I had was a yellow backpack, my Bible, a sticker that says, "With Jesus there is hope." I had so many adversities in life, but I knew that God always uses these for good. When I age out from the orphanage, as I was walking from the orphanage, I was reminded of the scripture, Emmanuel, the name Emmanuel, God with us. I had so many adversities in life, but I knew that God was with me to comfort me, to guide me, and to become who He called me to be. And God gave me a great opportunity to travel in the United States with the International Kids Choir. I was able to serve for a few years, and God wants me to come back here in Ethiopia and to start a ministry of hope for the fatherless.
For the Fatherless was founded in 2016 with the belief that children belong in families. In March of 2017, we got to bring our first group of 10 children from the government orphanage into our very first children's home Hope House.
This is one of our children's home. This is Hope House. Welcome to Hope House. Let me give you a tour.
My name is Mahadar. I am 9 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. My name is Sadabka. I am 7 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a driver.
My name is Sintayo. I am 11 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a singer.
My name is Salam. I am 8 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor.
My name is Judith. I am 11 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a dentist.
My name is Beza. I am 10 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor.
My name is Uluted. I am 14 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a designer.
My name is Mr. I am 10 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher.
They are siblings, Mahadar and Kalu. They came to us a year ago during COVID-19. They lost their mom and their father is unknown. Then they are in the process of getting adopted by a local family here in Ethiopia.
My name is Nazareth. I'm short. When I grow up, I wanna be Babu.
Hope House is managed by a loving couple. They have their own 2 biological children and they live full time with the children. They bring the structure and nourishment.
Exactly a year later, we got to bring 10 more children into our second home, Faith House.
This is Faith House, our second home, our boys' home. So we have 7 boys and also caregivers.
My name is Yapkala. I am 12 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a pilot.
My name is Amani. I am 7 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a pilot.
My name is Mangstu. I am 14 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a president of Ethiopia.
My name is Nikas. I am 8 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a mechanic. My name is Leo. 4 years old. Teacher. My name is No. 5 years old. I grow up mechanic.
My name is Dagam. I am 12 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a soccer player.
That same year, we got to begin our sponsorship program. This ensures that vulnerable families are able to stay together. We provide support for children to attend school, help if they have any medical needs, and have even helped with job placement support for their caregivers. The same year, we also got to begin our adoption program. This is the most exciting thing that we get to do as a ministry. Since 2018, we've been able to place 13 children through domestic adoption.
Wife and I, we got to adopt 2 kids from the government institution, and it's an amazing gift to have them in our life. God rescued me so that I can rescue other children.
We're so excited because in the coming year, we want to begin our very own Foster to Adopt program. We believe that we have the knowledge and the heart to advocate for these children to receive a swift placement. We also want to be able to train and equip families in a way that enables them to succeed. We also are hoping to give them the adequate support that they need post-placement to make sure that they never feel like they are alone on their journey. Also coming up for us this year is Tesfa Mender, which means Hope Village. We want to begin Tesfa Mender to be a part of rehabilitating and training children who are formerly living on the street. The property will also include an expanded life training center and a school. We're really excited about this opportunity and are looking forward to what might be ahead for us in that. The last thing that is up ahead for us this year is what we're calling the Betiseb Relaunch Program. Betiseb is a word in Amharic that means family, and it is the name of an organization here in the city that is sadly having to close due to underfunding. For the past 10 years, they have been caring for 20 children, 10 boys and 10 girls, in a small family-like setting, similar to Hope for the Fatherless. We believe that we have the knowledge and the heart to intervene in the lives of these teens to ensure that when the organization closes, they are not returned to government institutional care. We are stepping into this full of faith and with excitement for what it means to be a part of their lives for these final critical teenage years as they finish high school and are launched into a successful adult life. Here are a few practical ways that you can be involved in the ministry of Hope for the Fatherless. The first way is that you can adopt. If you are an Ethiopian citizen residing in Ethiopia, we would love the chance to welcome you to our office and share our vision for what adoption could mean. Unfortunately, adoption is not currently open to international citizens. However, would you consider prayerfully partnering with us through financially giving to our new Foster to Adopt program? You also can be a powerful advocate for these kids, regardless of whether you're living here in Ethiopia and able to adopt or not. The second way is that you can donate. Hope for the Fatherless is a registered 501c3 organization in the United States, and your gift is tax deductible and helps us sustain our ministry here in Ethiopia. Thank you in advance for your faithful partnership in this. And the last way that you can be involved is that you can serve. Whether that's coming to Ethiopia on a service trip or giving of your professional talents from afar, we would welcome the opportunity to partner with you and see how you can be a part of bringing hope to orphan and vulnerable children here in Ethiopia. Thank you so much.